Hello, my name is Jason Alexander, and I'll be teaching Philosophy of Society in the upcoming academic year. In this course, we will explore a number of philosophical topics centered on the relationship between individuals and the society in which they are embedded. Some of the issues we will consider will be grounded in empirical research, drawing upon results from both recent and classic texts of social psychology. And some of the issues we will consider will be grounded in, if you like, non-empirical research, using models and methods that fall within the subfield of philosophy known as formal epistemology, or the conceptual analysis used elsewhere in philosophy. Let me now say a little more about what, specifically, we will look at. To begin, one of the things to note about philosophy of society is that it cross-cuts a number of the normal fields of philosophy: theories of personal identity, theories of explanation, moral philosophy, epistemology, and ontology. We will cover topics that intersect all of these. We will begin by looking at the topic of personal identity, but informed from work in what is known as social identity theory. Social identity theory considers how a person's identity is constituted of both intrinsic properties of an individual along with relational properties determined by groups to which that individual belongs. Sometimes a person belongs to a group because they choose to, like when you choose to join university society or a sports team. But sometimes a person belongs to a group because of factors beyond the person's control, such as groups determined by ethnicity, nationality, or one's religion. This is interesting because much research in social psychology suggests that human beings have a deep-seated tendency to treat people differently when group membership is made salient. This tendency is so easily invoked. It's found to occur even in cases where the group membership is totally irrelevant to the kinds of behavioral differences it prompts, that it seems we need to take it into account when explaining and evaluating human behavior. And so we intersect with topics in philosophical theories of explanation and moral philosophy. We will look at theories of structural explanation, including a very influential paper by Sally Haslinger, which seeks to explain why something, the part, does whatever it does by reference to a larger system, the whole, in which it is embedded. Structural explanation helps us make sense of the behavior of individuals within groups and groups within a society. We will look at topics in moral philosophy because research within social psychology calls into question how much individual behavior can be attributed to stable character traits versus the situation in which that individual is embedded. The most famous illustration of this is Stanley Milgram's 1963 experiment on obedience, where the original research started in 1961, only a year after Adolf Eichmann's war crimes trial was held in Jerusalem. But this wasn't the only such experiment. Much other research has led support to a view called situationism, which suggests that much human behavior is best explained by referencing the person's social situation rather than stable character traits. We will look at arguments both for and against this view. On a related point, we will consider how social norms influence human behavior, in Christina B. Chiari's attempt to reconcile norm-based explanations with explanations based on individual rational choice. This matters because even if a person's social embedding is hugely influential on why that person does what they do, we still think that people act the way they do for various reasons, at least much of the time. And so we need to try to reconcile these two different ways of explaining human behavior. In addition, we will look at arguments that attempt to establish that the behavior of groups is so fundamentally complicated that group behaviors, group decisions, and group actions are irreducible. That is, that they cannot be explained in individualistic terms, regardless of how much detail we provide. This is a topic concerned with the epistemology and ontology of groups, and, if true, would have a number of important implications. Towards the end of the course, we will consider whether it's possible to explain certain social tendencies by appealing to cultural evolution. In particular, we will look at a paper by Kaylin O'Connor, Justin Brunner, and Liam Kofi-Bright on the evolution of intersectional disadvantage. We will consider the extent to which such evolutionary models illuminate social practices and whether they might contribute to our wider understanding of society. Finally, I'll close by examining the relationship between a person's group identity and that person's beliefs. This is an interesting and important question because many of our beliefs are based on the testimony of experts, rather than on evidence and information we have personally collected and assessed ourselves. But who counts as an appropriate expert? Often, an expert is determined by the practices of the group to which we belong. This, I will argue, leads to an important tension. In addition to their truth functional content, certain beliefs can come to serve as signals of our group identity. When signals of our group identity become more important than their truth value, the value of a belief for a person can become decoupled from its truth value. And this, I suggest, helps us understand the proliferation of many widespread but false beliefs in contemporary society. That's it. I look forward to meeting you all over this upcoming academic year.